Sir, I'm Pamela Wishart.
And I'm Matt Whitcomb.
And this is our retirement calculator.
So, sir, to start off, we're just going to give you a general overview on how the calculator works. So we'll start off with our current grade. We'll say we just got out of West Point and we're in 01, second lieutenant. Then we're also a little bit of future planning. Our grade at ETS, say we're going to get out and we're a full bird, we're going to get that 06. Currently, our years in service. So if I'm a second lieutenant, we're going to have less than 2 years in service. Service at ETS, we'll say we're just going to get just over 20 and try to get that bird in 20 years. For our zip code, we'll put in our current zip code here, 10997 here at West Point. As far as special pays, you're going to select the pay that you currently receive. So let's say we're going to the 82nd. I'm going to be having jump pay, so we'll put in that. The dependents, I don't have any dependents. We'll say I'm a single guy. I don't have any dependents yet, so we'll put in 0 for there. Tax rate, we're picking our tax rates. I don't make a whole lot of money as a second lieutenant, but let's say I have 15%. Alright, so then the percent of the salary allocated to the TSP, we're going to put in, our message comes up here, we're putting in percentages as fractions. So say I'm going to put in 4% of my salary to the TSP. A rank based on the BAH, that is currently our BAH currently, so our rank is going to be our 01. And our total years in service, this is when we get out. Let's say we're going to get out of the Army at 22 years. Alright, sir, so given those inputs, so now we go down to our outputs. And our monthly base pay before taxes, based on our rank, is this value right here. And then our special pay, again, this is based on whatever specialty pay we're eligible for, we put in there. Our monthly BAH, this is obviously according to the zip code that we put in here. And again, our dependent status, thank you. And obviously right here we have 0 with dependents because we put in a 0 for dependents. For say, for example, we put in, I have a kid, I'll put in 1. We'll see how that switches, so that would be a 0 because we wouldn't have it. We would be without dependents, we'd be with dependents. We're going to go back, we'll put in 0 here. And then lastly, keep going down, we have our monthly base pay at ETS, so that's saying again, in 22 years, when I get out at a 06, that's going to be my monthly base pay before we take that's going to be like my last paycheck as a full bird colonel before I get out of the Army. Our monthly income contributed to the TSP, again, that is the 4% that I'm going to be putting in every year. I think I skipped over the BAS. The BAS is obviously, I'm an officer, so I'm going to be getting the 253 as opposed to the 368 I would get as an enlisted man based on the current scale. And lastly, the tax deducted from monthly income, that's going to be this tax percentage multiplied by the total monthly pay, which is the combination of the BAH, the base pay, the special pay, the BAS, all the payments that you're receiving. So over here we see we have the current total monthly pay, which again is the sum of all those payments we're getting in, and then we also have the current net monthly pay, which is that total minus the TSP and the taxes that we're taking out right here. And here we have our retirement worth per month and our GI Bill worth once we get out of the Army.
Sir, so now I'm just going to explain to you how we got these values and kind of how the Excel file is really working. So for our current grade at ETS, years in service, and years in service at ETS, when you would pick this value, a number would come up beside it based on the developer tool we inserted into Excel. So for example, 03 spits out 8. So then when you go to your base pay and you see 03, it links with 8. That way you're getting the correct value. The same thing would happen with the years of service for all of our different sheets. Next, we have a zip code. And here we basically took the file of zip code that was on CMI and we split it and listed it into an Excel file so that when we used it for our BAH with or without children, it would match to the MHA that was given. So as you could see, these cells were all in white before, and now they're in black just to show you where these are coming from. Then we had another sheet just for special pays, just list them and the amount they are worth. We also had a dependence column just so your BAH would be able to use the correct chart based on if you had children or not. Then you could insert your tax rate, percent of salary, rank-based BAH, and total years of service. So this is how the cells really worked. So for monthly base pay, we use this VLOOKUP tool. We use the same VLOOKUP tool for monthly special pay, monthly BAS, monthly base pay at ETS, and taxes due from monthly income. With this VLOOKUP tool, you insert the column that it's going to come from, the row it's going to come from, and the table it's going to come from. Also, we had to include some if statements. For example, for monthly BAH without dependents, we used an if statement. If B7, which is highlighted here, is 0, then we would have the BAH of M7. And M7 is linked to this cell, which uses a VLOOKUP tool. So, for example, if you did have dependents, it would use this VLOOKUP cell. And with dependents, if it was greater than 0, it would use M8, which is this cell over here. Also, for retirement worth per month, we used this equation up here, which is basically 0.025, so 2.5% of the number of years you were in service times the highest paycheck you've earned. This is a little bit outdated and not completely up to par, but it's a good estimate for us to start with, and it will be improved in the future. Also, for GI Bill, we decided to use the net present worth of the GI Bill today, which is $21,084 per year, assuming that the student would go to school for 4 years. We said that if the individual was in the Army for 10 years or greater, then they have the right to the GI Bill. The reason we said this was because the GI Bill says 10 years or greater, you earn it, and if you have 6 years now and you plan to do 4 more. So we just kind of said your total years of service that you plan to be doing, if it's greater than 10, it's a good estimate. Sir, this concludes our retirement calculator. Hope you enjoyed it.